Okay, today we shall be looking at the reciprocals of numbers. Reciprocals of a number is simply 1 divided by that number. This excludes 0. This is because 1 over 0 is undefined. 1 over 0 makes no meaning. So that is why we say it excludes 0. The reciprocal of any number, whether 5, whether 1000, whether 2000, is simply defined as 1 divided by that number. For example, the reciprocal of 7 is 1 over 7. And of course, if you do your arithmetic, 1 over 7 is equals to 0.1429. Similarly, the reciprocal of 10 is 1 over 10. And that 1 over 10 is equals to 0.1. So this means that the reciprocal of any number is simply 1 divided by that number. But this excludes 0. You have to take note of that, because 0 is a special number. 1 divided by 0, if you check with your calculator, what you are going to see is math error. So 1 over 0 is undefined in mathematics. Okay, another example, the reciprocal of 100 is what? 1 over 100. And that 1 over 100, if you do your arithmetic or with your calculator, you see that is what? 0.01. Now, I want you to note the following. Whenever a number is multiplied by its reciprocal, the result is always 1. Whenever a number is multiplied by its reciprocal, the result is always 1. Let's do an example so that you can see this. For example, let's say 10. What is the reciprocal of 10? Of course, you know the reciprocal of 10 is what? 1 over 10. So if we multiply this 10 by 1 over 10, which is its reciprocal, what will be the answer? Of course, 10 times 1 over 10, this is equals to 10 over 10. Remember, in our fraction, we say when you have a number like this, we simply say 10 times 1, which is 10, all over 10. Then 10 over 10 is what? 1. So you can see clearly that whenever a number is multiplied by its reciprocal, the result is always 1. Now let's check another example. Let's say 9. What is the reciprocal of 9? Of course, it is 1 over 9, which you know. So now, 9 times 1 over 9. 9 times its reciprocal, 1 over 9. This gives us what? 9 times 1, which is 9 over 9. Then 9 divided by 9 is what? Is equals to 1. So that proves the fact that whenever a number is multiplied by its reciprocal, the result is always 1. You can verify this with any other number. Now note the second point. The reciprocal of a fraction is obtained by inverting the fraction. Whenever we give you a problem that is a fraction and we say find the reciprocal, what you are to do is to simply invert that fraction. To invert a fraction means to turn it upside down. Take note of that. Okay, let's solve a problem. For instance, find the reciprocal of 1 over 20. 1 over 20 is a fraction. So we have to find the reciprocal of this fraction. What do? We say this is equals to 1 over 1 over 20. Remember, we said that reciprocal of any number is 1 divided by that number. So the reciprocal of 1 over 20 means 1 divided by 1 over 20. Then when you invert this, what do you have? 20 over 1. 1 over 1 over 20 is simply 20 over 1. Then 20 over 1 is equals to what? 20. So obviously, you can now see that the reciprocal of 1 over 20 is equals to 20. Now, another example. Find the reciprocal of 2 over 5. Remember, we say that whenever you are asked to find the reciprocal of a fraction, we simply do what? Invert that fraction. So I believe you know what the answer should look like. But let's solve it together. So this will give us 1 over 2 over 5. So when you invert this, what do you have? 5 over 2. So therefore, the reciprocal of 2 over 5 is what? 5 over 2. If you want to simplify this 5 over 2, with your calculator, you can just have 2.5 because 5 divided by 2 is what? 2, remainder 1 over 2, which is 2.5. Take note of that. So we now say generally, if P times 1 over P is equals to 1, it means that 1 over P is called the reciprocal of P. And P is also called the reciprocal of 1 over P. Meaning that for any number you have, let's say as we use P for instance, multiply by 1 over P and you have the answer to be 1. Then it means that 1 over P is the is the reciprocal of P. And also it means that P is the reciprocal of 1 over P. I hope you get that. Please, you have to get this point because it's very, very important. When we are solving advanced problems in mathematics, you need to apply this rule. Okay. For instance, what we mean is that if 1 over 20 is the reciprocal of 20, then it also means that 20 is the reciprocal of 1 over 20. Please let this point, try and understand this particular point. Let it sink. Very, very crucial. Okay, let's look at a further example. The question is, find the reciprocal of 0.45. How do you do something like this? You don't need to panic. It's still the same method, still the same approach. Okay, let's look at the solution. Now, first, what we are going to do is to convert this 0.45 into a fraction. So, converting into a fraction, we're going to have 0.45 equals to 45 over 100. If you have a problem with conversion from decimal to fraction, then you have to look at our lectures on decimals. Okay, but we have to advance. So, converting 0.45 into a fraction, we have 0.45 equals to 45 over 100. Of course, if you check 45 over 100, if you divide that, it will give you 0.45. Then when we further reduce 45 over 100 into a lowest form, we use 5. 5 goes into 45 is 9, and 5 goes into 100 is what? 20. So when we reduce that to the lowest, then we have 9 over 20. It therefore means that the reciprocal of 9 over 20 is now what? 1 over 9 over 20, according to our rule. Then 1 over 9 over 20, when you invert that, what do you have? 20 over 9. Then you can now convert this to a mixed fraction. You can stop there. 20 over 9 is still correct. But if you want to drive it home, you can convert 20 over 9 into a mixed fraction by saying 9 goes into 20 how many times? 2 times. Remember what? 2 all over 9. That's why we have 2 whole number 2 over 9. Hence, it therefore means that the reciprocal of 0.45 is 20 over 9. Or 2 whole number 2 over 9. That is in mixed fraction form. Or 2.22222 in decimal form. That is by saying 20 divided by 9. When you check that with your calculator, you have 2.22222. Okay, we've come to the end of this particular lecture. Let's give you something to play with. The first question is, what is the reciprocal of 1000? The second one is, what is the reciprocal of 2 over 10? Kindly look at it well, solve it, and then write your answer down in the comment space below. Thank you very much. Then in the next lecture, we'll be looking at reciprocals of number, lecture 2. Here we are going to solve some further examples on reciprocals. Thank you very much. Stay tuned.